Hey, and welcome to this video. My name is Nina, and in today's video, we are going to be working on an abandoned, overgrown type of park right behind this, or in front, I guess, of this little chapel that we have built on Sunday. And it's also right next to rest services, if you will. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So I'm going to be starting off by building this cliff, and this is going to take just a little while, I guess, because I do cut out like where I fill in the outline that I'm kind of carving out right now, if that makes sense. So yeah, I just kind of had this idea in mind that I wanted a cliff in front of the plaza that I was talking about when we built the chapel, and I had this idea of like maybe having two backwards inclines that are kind of symmetrical so that it looks like a once very elaborate, fancy looking park, kind of, so very classy. And yeah, so there are definitely some elements of maybe elegant core, but it will be very overgrown. Obviously, I feel like abandoned and overgrown are like the main words that I use to describe my island with, but I guess that's what you get when you build an abandoned island, you know. So yeah, I just carved out this cliff, and in the beginning I was a bit afraid that it would be too small. Now this is going to be a very small park, kinda, but I feel like it is a decent size, so it doesn't feel as small when you walk through it in the end. And I'm actually quite proud of how it turned out. I didn't expect it to go this well, especially when I started out with this very awkward cliff. And then I had to time travel to build the inclines, and I realized that Punchy had moved out. Actually, I was calculating in my head that he should have been in boxes that day. And I was trying to kick someone out on my second switch, and I got everything ready. I was traveling over with my other character to pick him up, and then my other character stood in front of the empty plot.
Nice shot!
That rhymed. And I was crying. I was actually crying. No, I wasn't, but I was almost crying. Because yeah, now we need to kick someone else out for the villager hunting stream, but I guess then at least we could actually place everything properly, and we could also move some houses. We will also be including a bridge later that will lead off to the right side. And yeah, and in the beginning I was kind of thinking that I wanted this little stream of water kind of going through this area up top here, but I realized very soon that that just wasn't working, you know. It was just a very awkward shape, and it created this awkward line kind of near the front of the cliff, so it just wasn't working. We only had like one tile of cliff left to decorate in front of the river, so I just didn't do that. I just ended up with the waterfalls. And then while I was blubbering on about that, I actually started working on the little part on the bottom here. So I decided that I wanted like a little simple well instead of a fountain in the middle, kind of as the centerpiece of the plaza, that all the shrubbery and flowers and everything would like kind of be concentrated around. And I had to shift it a bunch of times because I wanted it, in the end I decided to kind of make it, I don't even think it is right in front of the bridge, because the bridge is 4 tiles wide and this little simple well thingy majig is only 3 by 3 tiles wide. But I guess it kind of works, and it is also centered with the bench that we put in front of the chapel, which I really like. And then while I was like shifting the entire simple well, I happened to create one of these little corner pieces of in-game pathing, and that gave me the idea because I had seen that on like some islands that have elegant core elements to them, and like some island tours that I've watched, and I actually decided that this would be a good place to maybe play around with that a little bit, because I've always wanted to do that, but I never found the right place or like the right setting kind of to try that type of pathing. And since this is a very overgrown area, I didn't really have all of this in an organized pattern. Like the little pieces I didn't organize in a certain pattern. I just wanted it to feel very random, broken up, and like really like run down kind of. And in the end, I just cut to this scene now because I figured out that it was a lot easier to actually lay this path down if you kind of create this like circular pathing but connect the path in the way that you would like people to walk, if that makes sense. And then you just kind of cut out the middle pieces like I just did. And then I just removed some of the pathing because obviously I didn't want it to be that linear and symmetrical kind of. So I just also remove some like little parts of the pathing as I go, like throughout the entire build. I will keep removing pathing. Oh God, tongue twister. Jesus. Why did I sing that? Oh my Lord. Okay. And then I just actually started adding in some of the trees that I will be implementing in this build, because there will be quite a bunch of trees, because I decided that I wanted this to be kind of tucked in and surrounded by cliffs and trees and just nature. And I will in the end decide that the kind of open space that is leading off to the right side of this entire build is going to stay open. We will have a little river running through with a bridge leading across, and you can either cross the bridge or you could run kind of along the river. So I'm excited to see what's gonna go there in the future. But yeah, so I wanted this to be completely surrounded except for the little part that would like where the river is kind of. Or will be later, you will see what I mean. Yeah, and then I just honestly, most of this build was like planting flowers and shrubs, so I tried to cut out a lot of it because you don't need to see me planting like hundreds of flowers, or what felt like hundreds of flowers. And I also just added in random pieces and tiles kind of custom designs to just really fill the space, because this will be very cluttered. And in the end, I was so excited to then also incorporate some more random items to really go and kind of stick with the theme of having like a trash core element also to this island. So in the end, we will also be including some random items and like little groups and tiny little groups of items, I guess. And yeah, so up top here, I kind of wanted like this little viewing deck, or what was once a viewing deck. So I played around with this stone fencing to kind of create this little wall. And we will also put this tourist telescope, and I put it in the exact space so that you get a nice shot if you take out and whip out your little camera app to have a little snapshot of the area if you, in the end, when this island will ever be finished, come here and want to take a little snapshot of the area, you know? So I did that, and then I just added some more pathing to go under this little piece of fencing, and added this little iron garden bench. And I initially wanted it to be centered, but then I decided that I had some elements of symmetry, and since I don't really love symmetry as much, because I feel like it can be quite boring, or at least when I do it, it looks quite boring. So I decided to push that over to the side and create this little asymmetrical element to it. And then down here, this is actually one of my favorite spots of this build, because initially I was just gonna put some random nature items like a log bench or something there. But I decided to go with this little combo of an iron garden chair and an iron garden table to go with the bench that we have up top. And I really like how this turned out, because we will then put some decoy ducks around, and also one on top of the table, which I just thought was a very sweet element. And yeah, I will then, right, like in like a few seconds, I will also put down a classic picture right there on top of this little water puddle. And in the end, we will actually swap that out for a pot, because we will use the classic picture in another spot, and I didn't want to repeat items as much because this is supposed to be random, so I didn't want it to feel like, I wanted to feel cohesive but not like meticulously cohesive, if that makes sense. And then I just did my little pathing thingy to also continue this whole theme onto the cliff. And I also alternated between types of pathing throughout this build, just so that the paths wouldn't connect whenever I placed them like right next to each other, and I could still do this pathing thing. I can't explain it very well, but you can see what I'm doing. And then I just obviously layered it again with this beautiful, beautiful green brick coat that I have and love to death. And I have also used that behind rest services. So I felt like it was a good spot to, or like a good place to kind of use this type of pathing whenever, like the overgrown brick pathing, whenever we have like a what was once sophisticated area, if that makes sense.
Nope.
So yeah, I was having a lot of fun with that actually, and since I've never done that before, I was still figuring it out. And I know that some of you guys will probably pop down in the comments and be like, Nina, there's actually a better way to do this pathing technique. Now, I'm sure that there is. I just really don't care. Not that I'm not saying that you shouldn't tell me, it's just that I don't care because this is supposed to look random, so I didn't really look into it. I could have probably given it a bit more thought in terms of like a pattern and then actually breaking up that pattern, but I really like how it turned out, so I don't think I'm gonna change that for now. And then also in front of this, I'm gonna say again, but this is also one of my favorite nooks because I have this very cute, in the end we will have this very cute group of items because I knew that I would like to incorporate a cooler box because I like the blue tone of it, and it just went very well with the blue flowers that I decided to also scatter in this part of the island and like the more elevated parts of the island, so elevated in terms of like more chic areas of the island. And I was shifting and tweaking this area a lot because I was unsure of how to put this thing together because I needed an element of height, and this is where the classic picture will come in that I mentioned earlier. So I will now put down the little wooden stool and then add on the add-on, and then on top we will pop the little classic picture, and there you could see where I swapped out the classic picture for the pot that we then put next to the little table setting. And I just really like how this little area turned out and like how the colors also go together because the bottle custom design goes perfectly with the little wood coat that I used, and I used that wood coat instead of the dark wood because it goes so well with the tree trunks kind of. So I really like that. And now you can see where I start the idea of maybe having a river running through, and it will then continue on down onto the like down at the bottom of the cliff kind of. And yeah, I just had to expand the cliff because it was very difficult to plan. And I'm gonna be honest, I built this last night when I was so incredibly tired. Like I came home and I was already tired, like my eyes were like so heavy, and I knew that I still had to build something, and I wanted to build something because I would, like, if I wouldn't record it, I would probably just play Animal Crossing anyways to kind of wind down and like relax after the day. So I was like,
yeah, well, might as well just build something.
But I didn't have any ideas, and this thing just popped out of my brain for some reason. I don't know. I'm very glad that it did though, because I really like how this area turned out, and I just feel like it flows so well with the chapel build, and like I love the view that you get in the end, like of the chapel and the park. And then whenever this area like that we are kind of working on with the river right now will be done, I think this will be a very nice view too, because it will be this very wide kind of pathway with the river running through, almost like a canyon kind of. Excuse the dog collar again. So yeah, and then we will actually just place the bridge that will, or I thought we would place the bridge, but I guess I was just so indecisive about this river that it will take a little while. But I was so proud that I could actually fit this bridge like right next to the cliff here, like in this little nook. It worked perfectly, and I really love how this looks. So yeah, then I time traveled another day, and we had this, like, can we talk about how much of a difference it makes? Like, I think this was like March 4th, and like March 1st is like such a different type of green, or like almost a brown grass. And I just feel like it's so crazy that I found out that this day has like such a different colored grass, like by accident. Because if I wouldn't have gone to 1st of March, then we would never find out that this time of year exists. You probably knew, but I didn't. And I just think it's so crazy. Like, in the end, we will also obviously be time traveling back to March 1st so that we get like the finished. Excuse me, dog. He's going crazy. Oh, I love him so much. I really love him to pieces. But sometimes, you know, sometimes it's just interesting living with him. Interesting. Let's just say that much. Anywho, I just love the March 1st grass. That was basically what I was trying to say there, okay? And then honestly, I just tried to tweak everything and like make everything look kind of I guess cohesive and flow very well together in terms of like color grouping and like how I kind of space the colors out from each other and yeah, that basically. And I also had a ton of fun playing with this stone fencing because it just looks like some ruins, and I felt like that would also go very well with the chapel, obviously. And yeah, then that was actually it for today. So I'm going to leave you now to show you guys the finished product. If you enjoyed this video, I would very, very much appreciate it if you like and subscribe to the channel, as I would love to have you here. And yeah, take care of yourself until next time, and bye-bye.